Go, buddy. You should be the first one. Go.
You can't get too close.
Let his kids go. Where's Garner? Well, New York.
Yes, sir.
Fresh out the can. Damn. Over 18 straight. Damn. He gave me 7 and 5.
Max B when he gets it.
Max B.
Okay.
People don't play with me with that conversation. Ain't nobody can tell me nothing about that. That's the first thing I say. You heard?
Okay.
That's how you feel. That end the deal for anybody. There ain't no Max talking about conversation. Period.
Max B has finally touched the streets again after almost 16 years behind those walls, battling case after case, setback after setback, and still refusing to let his name fade into history. The wave is officially back outside, louder than ever. But believe me, not everyone is celebrating his return.
I feel righteous.
Damn.
Feeling good.
Feeling good.
I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm thankful.
Love that.
God is good.
Word around the streets is that somebody very familiar is already tight about this, and that somebody is Jim Jones. Max stepping back outside isn't just opening an old chapter. It's ripping open wounds that never healed, and the trolling aimed at Jim is already going insane. It hasn't even been a full 3 days since Max touched freedom, and is moving like he never missed a beat. You can't scroll your phone without running straight into him. 1 minute is checking out new ice, the next is at a birthday party, then is in the club, then is popping up at a Jets game like he's been outside this whole time. It honestly feels like a documentary crew is following him around the city. This is not one of those come home, lay low, catch your breath situations at all. Max jumped right back into the spotlight like he was born there, soaking up every bit of the moment. That's an A-lister. Okay, anybody got a sack. Bulls, look me up, I'ma get you right. And the wild part? The people are eating it up completely. This is easily one of the most hyped homecomings hip-hop has witnessed in years, and fans been starving over a decade just to see the wave moving again. So of course it's everywhere right now. Max didn't just come home. He came home making noise, taking over timelines, dominating headlines. He even proposed to his girlfriend literally 1 day after stepping out, wasting zero time showing he's ready for a brand new chapter. But with all that shine comes the problems, because a comeback this loud is guaranteed to shake up old drama. Overnight, the usual talk came right back. Beef, jealousy, rumors, alliances, all the messy pieces resurfacing at once. But the storyline catching the most fire right now is that long, ugly, unfinished war with Jim Jones. Jim spent years trying to erase his name from anything tied to Max B. He said it in every interview. He don't want to talk about Max. Don't want to see Max. Don't want to deal with Maximum Max B. Man, get Max out of here. In one sit-down, he even said, F Max B. Then later tried softening it by saying he might forgive, but he'll never forget. Basically, that door was locked and deadbolted. But now that Max is out and shaking the whole city like he never left, it was only a matter of time before Jim's name got dragged back to the center of the chaos. And out of everybody who could have reignited the fire, of course it was 50 Cent, and not a single soul was surprised. 50 and Jim been throwing jabs for years, so the minute Max came home, it became the perfect alley-oop for 50 to start clowning. He hit Instagram and did what he does best, stirred the entire pot. He posted that belly meme with Rico eating a banana, tagging him as Jim Jones, hinting Jimmy was snitching. 50 added his signature caption too, something like, Homie said Max home. It's packed in harbor. Jimmy about to drop a dime on these dudes. LOL. Then he threw up a clip of Max B FaceTiming DJ, who kid just to turn the heat up another level. And after that, it wasn't just 50 bloggers, hip-hop pages. Everybody jumped in, turning the comments into full-blown mayhem. For anybody who doesn't know, the tension between Jim Jones and Max B was never some small rap disagreement. This was deep, personal, and ugly from every angle. Back in the mid-2000s, Jim and Max moved like real brothers, locked in at the studio, hanging out nonstop, sliding through Harlem side by side. But even before the fame, before the spotlight, Max had already lived a story straight out of a movie. He had just come home in 2005 after serving 8 years on a robbery case, and once he stepped out, the world finally met Max Bigavelli, a name he built by mixing Biggie Smalls, Machiavelli, and R. Kelly into one identity. When Max hit the streets again, Harlem was in a wild era. Dipset ran the entire city. Cameron, Joel Santana, and Jim Jones had the streets in a chokehold, dropping anthems that shaped an entire generation. Through Cameron, Max linked up with Jim, and the chemistry was instant. Jim signed him to the Bird Gang label and paired him with Harlem legend Dame Grease. And from that moment forward, everything started moving fast. By 2006, Max had already dropped his first mixtape, and $1 Million Baby hit the streets, taking over immediately. Max's raspy, melodic delivery, his offbeat swagger, and that unpredictable wave of style made him sound completely unlike anyone else out. At the same time, Bird Gang had another rising problem solver in Stack Bundles. With both Max and Stack riding for him, Jim Jones had the perfect duo, two artists who were supposed to carry the future of Harlem on their shoulders. Max was the hidden force behind the hooks and melodies that made Jim's records explode. Tracks like Baby Girl became straight neighborhood anthems because of the wave Max poured into them. Soon, the whispers began circulating, people saying Max was a real creative engine behind Jim's new sound. And that, right there, is exactly where the tension started creeping in. As Max's buzz kept climbing, so did his street instincts, and those instincts eventually pulled him into a situation that flipped his life upside down. Around that time, Max was dealing with his ex-girlfriend, Gina Conway, who told him about a flashy dude she knew, Alan J. Ploden, a man living wild, running mortgage scams, male hustles, cruising luxury cars, and throwing cash around like it didn't even matter.
When this woman, Gina Marie Conway, a prostitute who'd been with Plowden, told her boyfriend Charlie Wingate, a.k.a. Max B., a rapper, about the men's money.
Gina said Max couldn't let that kind of opportunity slide, so he started thinking they could pull off a quick lick together. On paper, the plan sounded simple. Roll up to Ploden's hotel room, grab whatever money was inside, and slide out clean. Gina claimed Max was the one pushing the whole setup, promising her a better life as she played along. But when the night finally came, nothing went as planned. Gina and Max's stepbrother, Kelvin Sims Leardom, were the ones actually stepping out to execute the move, but the whole operation collapsed before it even got off the ground. They were supposed to slide in while Ploden was out partying, but instead they got lost, missed exits, and spent hours just driving in circles. By the time they finally rolled up to the Fort Lee Hotel, Ploden was already back in his room, knocked out next to another woman. And that's when everything went completely sideways. Another man, David Taylor, appeared out of nowhere, someone who was never supposed to be involved.
Morning of September 22nd at the Fort Lee Holiday Inn. Police are called there after a man is shot to death. The victim, David Taylor from Florida, was staying in room 227.
Panicked, pulled a gun, and shot Taylor in the face, execution style. Just like that, what was supposed to be a quick robbery turned into a full-blown murder case. From that moment, everything collapsed at lightning speed. Gina got picked up first, and as soon as the pressure hit, she folded immediately. She handed over a 169-page statement to the police, spilling every detail she knew and pointing directly at Max as the one who set the plan in motion. According to her, he was a mastermind, convincing her to play her part with the promise of a better life if it worked. Once the feds had his statement locked in, they came straight for Max Heavy. He got arrested and hit with serious charges, including felony murder, even though he wasn't physically at the hotel that night. Bail was set at a massive $2 million, and just like that, Harlem's rising wave star was staring down the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. Inside that cold cell, time froze for Max, but outside, everything kept moving fast. The wildest part? Jim Jones, the same man Max once called his brother, was suddenly everywhere. Jim had just dropped We Fly High, also known as Bowlin', and the record blew up instantly. It became a global anthem, the biggest hit of Jim's career, officially cementing him as a solo superstar. But behind bars, Max was hearing a completely different story. He claimed he was the one who actually wrote We Fly High, ghostwriting the hooks, melodies, and even some of the ad-libs for several of Jim's biggest tracks. So while Jim was on TV doing interviews, popping bottles, and cashing massive checks, Max was sitting in a cell watching someone else blow up off the sound he said he created. After nearly 10 long months, Max finally caught a break. The judge reduced his bail to $90,000, meaning freedom was finally within reach. But to step back onto the streets, he needed help, and that's where the situation got messy. Word around Harlem was that Jim only agreed to assist if Max signed over his publishing rights and agreed to drop 6 full albums under Bird Gang. What looked like a lifeline was really a setup. But Max was desperate, locked down, out of options, so he signed the papers. In that moment, Jim walked away with full control of Max's publishing, and Max walked out with temporary freedom. But his entire future now sat in the hands of the man he once trusted most. When Max B stepped out of jail in July 2007, he wasn't the same dude anymore. The smile was still there, but prison had hardened him, sharpened him, left him carrying heavy resentment. He came home broke, betrayed, and chained to a deal that stripped him of everything he had built. But as his buzz started picking up again, Max realized one thing. If Jim wasn't going to treat him right, he wasn't staying silent. He was ready for straight-up war. And when Max said war, he meant it. He wasn't just fighting for credit. He was fighting for respect.
How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made the credit. I made the hooks. I made the melodies. Yeah. I made the shit, dog. I'm the man.
For ownership, for his identity, he walked away from Bird Gang and started plotting his next move. If Jim was going to profit off his name, Max was determined to let the world know the real story. Nothing was off limits anymore. That's when French Montana stepped into the picture. Back then, French wasn't the superstar we know today. He was a Bronx street figure pushing his Raw Cocaine City DVDs. And French already had his own beef with Jim after the shooting, creating bad blood. So when Max and French linked up, it wasn't just about making music. It was about revenge. Together they built Coke Wave, and it quickly became more than a crew. It became a full movement. They were the underdogs taking aim at the industry from the underground, fearless and relentless. Max knew he didn't have label backing, but he had something stronger, the streets. He kept feeding the people nonstop, dropping mixtape after mixtape, giving away music for free, making sure nobody could silence his voice. But the war didn't stop at music. Max turned his entire situation with Jim Jones into pure entertainment. Every interview, every freestyle, every appearance, Max was throwing shots with zero hesitation. The first big punch came with Public Domain 3. The cover alone shook Harlem. Max standing in a graveyard next to tombstones labeled Millie, Jim Jones, and Joel Santana, calling them fake like Milli Vanilli. Then the lyrics hit. Max rapped, "I know them dudes need me." I was giving them the loot, letting everybody know he believed he built that sound. And without him, they were lost. The record made massive noise across Harlem. Jim had the fame, but Max had the streets locked down. And Max wasn't finished. He pushed even deeper, going after reputations. One of the wildest moments came when he dropped She Touched It in Miami. This wasn't just a diss. It was flat-out disrespect, wrapped in a song. On the track, Max claimed Jim's longtime partner Chrissy Lampkin had been intimate with him, and the rumor sent shockwaves everywhere. Max even rapped, "She sucked it in Miami," while Biggervelli hit it from the back in her Fendi, saying it casually, laughing it off, calling Jim emotional, claiming Jim just couldn't handle the truth. Jim Jones, on the other hand, was blindsided. He didn't see any of this coming. When Max started firing public shots, Jim tried to stay calm, brushing it off like Max wasn't a factor. But deep down, the pressure was building. Boom. Pause and ram the boom. Max said he hit him so hard the dude could get all this. He claimed Jim rolled up on him, tried to grab him through the window, so Max did what Max does, punched him in the face and peeled off. Jim jumped into interviews afterward, calling Max a bitter, washed-up rapper who never made it, just another guy who couldn't survive the industry. He even denied Max had anything to do with We Fly High, swearing he wrote his own biggest hit. But the streets weren't buying that story at all. People had already heard the old reference tracks floating around. Max's voice was all over them. Slowly, the conversation started shifting. Fans began questioning just how much of Jim's success, even back in the Dipset era, came from his own pen, and how much came from the talent standing right beside him. Meanwhile, Max wasn't slowing down for anybody. He moved like someone ready for pressure from any direction. He even started speaking publicly about how the beef had gone way past music. This was real-life energy now. Max claimed there was a moment when Jim tried to ambush him in a parking lot, blocking his car with a Bentley. According to Max, he spotted it coming, hit the gas, rammed Jim's car out of the way, and still managed to throw a few punches before peeling off. French Montana and everybody close to Max backed his story, and soon enough, The moment became straight legend. This beef wasn't rap anymore. It had officially turned into a full-blown street saga. Then November 2008 hit, the moment everything jumped to a completely different level. Max and French decided they weren't just talking anymore. They rolled up deep into Manhattan, walked straight into the building where Jim was recording, ready to prove the city wasn't sweet for him. Max later claimed Jim called the police when he realized what was happening. True or not, the accusation alone shattered Jim's street credibility. In that world, being linked to calling the cops is one of the worst stains imaginable. And the conversation around Jim flipped fast. Not long after, their crews crossed paths again inside a Brooklyn club, and the whole spot erupted. Chairs flying, bottles breaking, cops and K9 units storming in. Pure chaos. When the dust settled, Max had done way more than just beef with Jim Jones. He flipped the narrative entirely. Jim became a punchline, someone people were openly clowning, while Max transformed into a cult figure, a street legend who didn't need a label or industry backing to dominate. But while Max kept dropping music and feeding his diehard fans, the law was closing in slow and steady. Eventually, it all caught up to him. Max's old case from that chaotic hotel robbery had been crawling through the courts for years, inching toward a verdict he couldn't escape. When the final verdict dropped, it shattered everything. Max got hit with a 75-year sentence, and hip-hop damn near froze. Fans started whispering, "Did Max cooperate?" But supporters fired back instantly. "We've seen the paperwork." It felt like the entire wave had been wiped out before it even reached the shore. And while the culture was mourning, Jim Jones looked like he was quietly celebrating. From his perspective, it almost seemed like he had secured the ultimate business win. To Jim, the war was over. Max was locked away, his voice silenced, and Jim was still holding all the publishing rights. But May 2010 flipped everything again. Paperwork surfaced showing Max had voluntarily met with law enforcement, pointing them toward a woman tied to the case, even giving details about what strip club she worked at, and suddenly the whole 80 down to 20 conversation reignited. Then came the real shocker. The judge ruled Jim officially had zero control over Mac's BS catalog. The court found that Max had fulfilled every obligation in his 2005 and 2007 contracts, meaning Jim's grip evaporated overnight. And then the twist nobody expected. Max's massive 75-year sentence got slashed to 20, then again down to just 12. Slowly, daylight started breaking through the darkness. After all those years locked away, the man who literally shaped the whole sound from behind bars finally walked back into the world. But the second news of his release hit the internet, chaos followed immediately. The rumors returned, trailing him like ghosts from the past, snitching allegations. Anytime a rapper beats a heavy sentence, somebody tries to stir the pot. This time, it was Wack 100 leading the narrative. Wack jumped out claiming he had paperwork proving Max cooperated from the inside, saying he had documents showing Max met with authorities and handed over information that supposedly helped cut his sentence. Wack even doubled down, claiming Max had pointed out a woman tied to the case, told authorities where she worked, hinted at some supposed video proof, and said people close to Max confirmed everything. But here's the kicker. Nobody outside of Wack has ever actually seen these documents. Wack even admitted he'd never spoken to Max, never met him, and had zero connection to him. So for most people, it looked exactly like what it was, another attempt to grab attention off somebody else's comeback. Max's fans didn't waste a second. They shut down the rumors immediately, calling Wack's claims nothing but straight-up clout chasing. And honestly, most people didn't even care about the noise. They were just hyped to see Max home, smiling, breathing free air, and finally living life on his own terms again. The wave had officially returned to the streets, and the excitement was real. Now, the big question on everyone's mind, is Max about to jump back into the booth, and will the new generation show him the same respect and love the old heads did? The industry has evolved, labels have changed, and the game is different, but the streets, they never forget a legend. Max still has that wave, that energy, and the credibility that comes from building it from the ground up. For now, Max seems focused on soaking up every moment of his freedom, reconnecting with the people who stuck by him, and feeling the love and energy that's been waiting for him all these years. This isn't just a homecoming, it's a full-on reclamation of his legacy. And the streets are here for it, cheering every move. If you've been riding with this story, do the algorithm a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment, share the video, and make sure to subscribe to DripZ. Let's get this story trending, because the wave is back, and it's bigger than ever,